Oh, man. Mahomes.
Year 5, right?
Is it really?
Yeah.
Fuck. It's crazy.
It's fast.
This is Badass Records Podcast, episode 29. Is it William Edward?
William Walter.
William Walter.
Yeah.
Mauch.
Mauch. Yeah.
But do your girls say Mauch or Mauch?
Mauch.
They do.
They'll correct people.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
it's a game with
does Maddie ever hear Wilkie say Maddie Mauch?
Sometimes.
And correct him?
She won't correct him,
okay.
no. Yeah, as you know, that's really kind of a lost cause to try to argue. I learned that a long time ago. That it's just
I
not
did too,
worth
but
it.
I keep just
know.
head into the brick wall.
I know. It's just like you like to poke the bear. I mean, that's his favorite pastime is argument.
I mean, just below being right.
Yeah. Well, it's a combo platter.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
I every once in a while, if I'm up past my bedtime, TikToking or whatever, sometimes I have the courage to just send it, but sometimes I'm like, they don't need to know that I'm up at 2, or
Right. Right.
So I'll try to make a mental note and then promptly forget. So this one in particular that I am kicking myself for not sending was your boy Colin Cowherd.
Oh,
Running through. It's probably on the ESPN handle, but I think there's a TikTok per division, and he runs through. And when he got to ours, you know what he picked?
Probably the Raiders.
No.
The Chargers.
No.
He did not pick the Chiefs.
He did not pick the Chiefs.
Boy, where are we going with that then? Okay,
He picked the Broncos to
Yeah.
win the division and the Chiefs to finish second. I think he picked Broncos to win the division and Chiefs Chargers to both be wild cards. I was like, okay.
It's funny you say that because last week in Nashville, I was at a trade show for work.
Pull that bad boy to you just a little. There you go.
And I ran into somebody having a drink.
What do you do again?
So I work in building materials. So I'm a manufacturer sales rep for a company called Screenies, and we manufacture a fixed screen porch system.
Okay.
Basically my job entails going to distribution partners and working with their sales folks to try to
give them training, give them skills,
give them some skills, give them
knowledge,
some knowledge,
okay,
and help them, sell our product into lumber yards and
right,
so for end
right.
users can use it.
I don't know. I think at a certain age, particular stuff. I've heard that.
Yeah.
I've asked you like 4 times.
Yeah.
And I'm like, got it. And just slides right out like
I think it's just joking around, probably a little bit of CTE from all the years of DDTs and whatnot.
I was only on the delivering end. I never was on their seat.
I think I got you once at your mom's house,
man.
like going off the steps or something stupid.
Yeah,
like
I got a bunch.
Yeah.
So you're probably right. But anyway, Nashville, somebody's having a drink.
And they were talking about the Seahawks, and I was like, oh, here we go. And we got into this conversation about Russ and how, I have disdain for Russell
You
Wilson.
have had that disdain for a minute.
I cannot stand him. I just find him as fake. I just don't. I just don't. I don't buy any of his stuff. So it's just it bothers me. Like his whole journey from North Carolina State to Wisconsin. And then
what happened there?
He was really the first, I think, pretty much graduate transfer that had success when he went to Badgerland.
Like he finished school at NC State?
I think he did.
And then got to play at another school?
Yeah, he was like one of those graduate transfer guys that he didn't use up all his eligibility, so he still had 1 year left, right?
So he went and played somewhere else for 1 year?
Yeah, he went to Wisconsin and played. And
Okay.
it's a long time ago, but I think they did win the Big Ten championship that year. Something had a really great year, and I just find him as a fake guy. And now that he's with the Broncos, that's just like, oh my God.
Have you seen all of the Let's Ride? Have you seen this shit?
I've seen it all. I look at it, and I'm just like, the guy looks like he's been eating his way through like the past 3 years. He doesn't look in shape to me. It's gonna be interesting to watch. But the person I was talking to in Nashville cannot stand him now because obviously he left badmouth, Pete Carroll and the Seahawks on his way out the door, basically.
Did he?
It was, I think it was more implied than it was maybe stated. So
Okay.
I just think it was one of those things, and I don't think he handled it very well. But of course, he has to come
he's
to the
socially retarded.
Yeah,
it would appear.
Yes.
I've never hung out with him.
Yeah, yeah.
But I've consumed a fair amount on various sizes of screens, and I'm like, what the fuck's wrong with this guy?
I know this guy's like weird. Like a glorious day would be that I'm at the Chiefs game when the Broncos come into town and they have Future banging that drum, because that would get in that guy's head. And it'd be
who's Future?
His, I guess Sierra's former partner that they have a child with.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah.
that would be
That's
like
right.
that would be awesome. But that's just the way my brain.
Can you imagine
works.
the look on Clark's face? Somebody
yeah.
suggest, well, I don't think we should do that.
Oh, it would be so good.
Yeah.
I mean, they'd be in his dome the entire game.
I mean, I just can't at all. And I have not studied the draft or trades or free any of the shit, but I just can't in my right mind figure out at all why he would make that pick. Like Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, who have hosted 4 consecutive AFC title games. Justin Herbert, and is it Herbert or?
I think it's Herbert.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I mean, they've just seemed to a very clear trajectory of adding pieces and getting better.
Right.
Was this year 3 for him?
Yeah.
Our rookie contract's still 3 years long, or?
I think it's 5.
Okay.
He can negotiate, I believe, after this year.
Okay.
For that.
But I mean, 100% reason to believe that they'll be just as good as last year, if not better.
Right.
And then the joke for me has always been, or for the last few months has always been, I'm super glad that the Broncos gave away their future so they can wrestle the Raiders for 3rd place.
Oh, it's so great.
But this guy who, I've never really listened to, I've never sat down and put that guy's show on or turned it on in my car. But he's obviously been around for a long while and has lots of fans, support, listener, but also lots of people hate him, right?
Yeah.
And
part of it, I think, is like back in the day when he was on ESPN radio and doing all that, he was based out of the East Coast.
Okay.
And I think his whole shtick changed when he moved out west and kind of just, he really only likes West Coast teams now.
Okay.
At least that's kind of how I pick it up. I quit listening to it because it was,
right.
I mean, I could have a heart attack listening to that guy. A lot of it has to do with, him bad-mouthing the Iowa Hawkeyes and some other stuff.
Oh, for real?
And saying stuff about Kirk Ferentz, and I just didn't, I mean, anybody will tell you.
Reason?
That's great. That's a good question.
Okay.
It's been too long that it was something like maybe he turned him down to come on his show, and then he said some stuff about him not wanting to come on his show. But
How long has that dude been the coach there?
20-something years.
Okay.
He was the coach directly after Hayden Fry
Okay.
retired.
So that's where your roots are, right?
Well, no, my roots are here, Kansas City.
You were born here?
Yep.
But did Bernie and Peggy meet in Iowa?
No, so
Oh.
I was my parents actually met in New York, but
Really?
I was born and raised here till
Okay.
17. And then my senior year of high school, which would have been our senior year of high school,
Yeah.
we moved to Iowa.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I mean, it was always clear when we were younger that Iowa was, there was no Iowa connection
No,
prior ever.
Ever. No.
So
Well, I guess maybe through our freshman year, starting our freshman year of high school, my dad had taken the job, so maybe we were traveling back and forth just
Okay.
for like a weekend visit or something.
Okay.
So maybe that's where that came from.
So I mean, if you keep it at the college level, born and raised a Jayhawk, and then as you're approaching adulthood, you adopt this fandom for Iowa
For football.
for football.
For football.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
But yeah, I mean, I think I think it's kind of par for the course.
Did
really.
you see the thing I sent? Was it this morning?
Yeah.
Ryan Leaf?
I
What?
think he does a good job of telling his story about the things not to do.
Sure.
Like,
Okay.
I've heard him on Dan Patrick's show
Okay.
quite a few times, and just he owns it. Like, he owns that he is the biggest fuck up on the planet.
I mean, he was he used to get like pissed and shit when
Yeah.
he was still in the league.
There's that Charger video that's out there.
Yes,
like,
yeah.
That's probably one of the greatest
Yeah.
things ever. You know, it's really awesome.
Was who was it? The famous Rome clip, where he's like, he keeps calling somebody Chris.
Oh, with Chris Everett, the old Rams quarterback.
That's right. That's
Yeah,
what it
and
is.
he got
Call
out of
me
his
Chris
chair.
again.
Yeah,
Yeah.
call me Chris again. And
Okay, so you developed this love for Iowa football.
I did, yeah.
Around 17-ish,
yeah, like
and it's stayed.
yeah, I enjoy going to the games there. It's a great place to watch a football game, and it's just the atmosphere there it's completely different than what you get in Lawrence.
Sure.
Obviously, because football hasn't been great here. I don't know what it would be like if it were great, but you know, that whole stadium is a different beast in itself because there's the track that used to go around it, so it's not as intimate. Like in Iowa City, you're on top. Like you could throw something at one of the opposing players or at a Hawkeye. You're that close.
So Iowa University or University of Iowa is in Iowa City.
It is.
And where's Iowa State?
The douche is in Ames, Iowa.
What's that?
That's what they call Iowa State, the douche.
Okay.
Yeah.
No love lost between those two
No,
fan
I don't
bases.
think so. Not really. Not at
mean-
all. And I don't like Iowa State just
Well-
for growing up here and watching like Johnny Orr coach basketball and
Yeah.
guys like Julius Mikalik and
I
Fred
swear.
Hoiberg, the mayor, and all that kind of stuff. So
I mean, like, so when I moved out to Estes Park in 93, was it 94 with Weaver, there was a cluster of Iowa dudes that had been in Estes the year before, and some went back and returned and some stayed. They were all mostly like Quad Cities base.
that's where I live.
Okay.
Quad Cities. Yeah.
But not just them, but any time in at least my adult life that I've crossed paths with somebody that is from Iowa or lived in Iowa and is passionate about one fan base or another, they never hesitate to clarify, like out of the gate. They're like, Iowa State. And you're like, Jesus, my bad.
Yeah.
And you know, like, oh, so you don't like Iowa? And they're like, I don't. And vice versa.
Yeah.
It feels like that has always been, you know, a fascinating thing. I mean, we see it, Lawrence, Manhattan, and Columbia, but it's special because it's the two, and they're in the state together. They're kind of the big dogs, right, of
Pretty
all
much,
the
yeah.
university.
Yeah.
So Bernie and Peggy, R.I.P. to Peg, or as my guest, what episode was he? 14. He said R.I.P. in peace.
Yeah. All right, peace.
Anyway, how long has she been gone?
This will be 8 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
They met in New York?
Met in New York. Yeah.
What was going on there?
My dad was working there, I think. So, like, I'm going to get some dates wrong here, but I want to say, like, mid-'60s.
Okay.
He and a group of guys flew into South Beach, Miami, and not all of them left. A lot of them stuck around and, you know, live in the U.S. now. Well, the guys that are still left, they've been...
Flew into South Beach from
Switzerland.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I should say my dad's from Switzerland.
Right.
My mom's from New York. So they met when he was working upstate New York.
What was he doing?
I think he was running a country club at the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, definite restaurant background
Yeah.
for a time.
Yeah. He's a chef by trade.
Okay.
So, and, you know, throughout his career, he had come out of the kitchen and, you know, started, you know, being in front of the house.
Sure.
person. So,
Smart move.
yeah, right.
You got to have it all, the whole thing. Like, you can't, I mean, the greatest chefs ever that have never spent any time at all, you know, outside of the kitchen, you're missing out on knowledge. You need to know the way anyway.
I do think it takes a special person to be able to do that.
Oh,
Not
100%.
Not all the time. Some of the chefs that I've been around could actually.
Some of the you're like, get back in the kitchen.
Yeah.
We don't want the customers to see
People
you.
skills aren't exactly. They're not going to be out selling anything to anybody.
Right,
Because, you know,
right.
they wouldn't have a job.
Mom, there's a man on the porch. So your mom was born in New York?
Correct.
And he was working there?
Yeah.
Do you know, did somebody introduce him or?
I think they met at a club, actually.
Okay.
Something like that.
Nice.
My dad was, the way the story goes, or that I remember it, he was like dancing with some other girls, and but I don't know. This is '60s or whatever it was, and then he saw my mom and started dancing with her, and the rest is all history.
So how long did they date before they got married?
Good question. I don't know the true answer to that. I just know that my grandma did not like my dad.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
She thought he was a spy, and I don't know how you get to be a spy from Switzerland, but hey, it is what it is.
The one nation in the universe across history that is like it's like they're neutral, right?
Yeah. So,
wow.
Go figure.
Yeah. So once they're together, are they in New York for a bit or?
Yeah. So my dad then started working for Price Candy Company.
Okay.
So he started opening places for Price Candy Company, restaurants all throughout the U.S. So they traveled a lot. So Kansas City was actually the last stop with Price Candy Company. So we stayed here.
Like it's the last place where they opened a shop?
Something like that. So like Charlie Price, I believe, was the ambassador to England, I think.
Okay.
And so like when I just know that this was the last stop. I think
Sure.
we either stopped working for him or they sold off or something.
Sure.
I don't know everything. My dad pretty much keeps all that stuff pretty tight. My
Right.
mom would tell us
Right.
stuff, but he doesn't talk about any of that stuff. The only thing he cares about these days is when it's going to snow so he can ski. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, he's
At
earned that right.
Yeah, at 82 years old, it's not bad.
He's earned the right to care about whatever he wants to care about. And so it goes Shell, you, Rosie, right?
Correct.
And what's the age spread?
So 10 years between Michelle and Rosie, and then 7 between Michelle and I, and 2 approximately.
7?
Yeah.
Okay, wow.
Yeah.
So you guys, I mean, I probably told you this before, but once you're back here, and in the fold, and you have your home, and we're occasionally hanging out or whatever, it took some digging to like remember that you had an older sister.
Right. Yeah.
And like once I remembered it, I remembered feeling that way when we were kid. Like, what?
Yeah.
But because probably by the time we're hanging out, she's either a senior or gone or whatever. But now she's here.
Correct.
And married.
Right.
And just dogs.
2 girls.
2 girls.
Both live in Denver.
Oh, damn! Like half your people are in Colorado.
They
okay.
are, yeah.
All right. So did Bernie and Peggy play music when you guys were kids, or do you remember music being on in the home?
I just know my mom did play some music. She was a big Frank Sinatra gal, I should say. So, I've listened to that. I just remember some awful elevator music a lot of times in the car. Probably back then, playing on 980 KMBZ. It seemed to be like, par for the course.
Yeah.
But yeah, Sinatra would be definitely. I mean, I think my folks' song at their wedding was "Fly Me to the Moon."
Okay.
So, yeah. So
funny.
Yeah.
We had our annual GSM awards ceremony yesterday at the Embassy Suites in Olathe, and we do round robins, and the last one had Jeopardy.
Okay.
And
that's not what your mother said last night, Trebek.
So,
I'll take the rapist.
Right.
300. Yeah.
The most of the categories were like business related, but then there was the final category was music. And somebody from my team said, well, music for 400. And the question was, and this is like, the first music one that was chosen. And the answer was, no, these are the original 4 members of the Brat Pack. And we got...
You got Dean Martin for sure.
Yeah, we got Dean, we got Frank.
Sammy.
We got Sammy, and then we listed somebody else, but it wasn't. It was a name that literally nobody else in the room had ever heard before.
Right.
And we're all like, wow. And also, like, that made everybody, like, they told us at the beginning, because we were the last group to be in this, and they're like, if you guys all go straight to music like everybody else does, we're going to deduct points. Like, that's... Just because there's one fun category doesn't mean you avoid.
Right.
So nobody had chosen it, and then somebody from my team went straight to 400, and so everybody else was like, "Ooh, thought it was going to be fun and easy, but we'll steer clear." And like every other question after that was like, who wrote Purple Rain and who wrote Strawberry Fields Forever, and I was just like, what in the fuck? Like,
what is the answer to that question? Did they tell you?
What?
The one that you missed.
The Brat Pack?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was those 3 dudes, and then I can't even remember his name. We were all stunned.
I vaguely remember hearing a story about somebody that got kicked out, but I don't...
Yeah, it was... I mean, I'm sure I could...
You'd have to Google
it, but...
That's for you, Robert.
2 episodes, or no, not 2 in a row, but he came up a couple times in Gedman's.
Okay.
And I was just basically like, here are all the reasons I can personally say you shouldn't enter into Thunderdome with that guy because he will destroy.
Oh, yeah.
Like, just keep kicking the carcass and never certain that it's dead.
Yeah, no, he just likes to keep. It's great.
So, I mean, was Shell listening to anything before she was gone that you remember, or?
So we had this old school Fisher Price record player.
Okay.
Like I remember it being, I think it was a brown lid, and I think the arm was like orange.
Yes,
right?
100%.
So I mean,
with the plastic grooved,
correct.
Like green, and yeah.
And I just remember Kool and the Gang all the time rolling on that thing.
Nice.
Yeah. So that'd be about the
Sure.
So it was like late 70s.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, what about? So you were Highlands K through 6.
Yep.
So how about the pocket of like the end of grade school, moving into middle school? Were you listening? Did you discover anything on your own that you then wanted to own or listen to at home? Or
I think probably the first thing that I got was 1986 Run DMC's Raising Hell in a cassette.
Hell yeah.
That was my first purchase.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. That's a pretty fucking badass first.
It is,
I mean,
right? Yeah.
I'm sad to admit that I'm not even really familiar with the contents of that album. I know that it's an iconic record.
Right.
Game changing, not just music, but like, beats and probably maybe samples, but also attire, attitude.
I mean, basically put Adidas on the map.
Yeah.
Right? Or at least in the United States. I think Adidas didn't have a problem outside of the United States,
right.
But really, and what's funny is I've been to a few Adidas shops as of late, and they're bringing some of those old school Run DMC shirts back.
Nice.
With some of that.
Nice.
Some of that stuff, which is cool. I mean, it was you'd know every one of those songs if it came on now.
Right.
I mean, most of them have been sampled by other folks. It's, I don't know, that's just a memory that the funny thing about the music is I wasn't allowed to have anything but a clock radio in my room until I think my junior year of high school.
Dang, that's late.
It is. Strict parents.
Yeah.
Right? So, it was pretty much, I didn't even have a telephone, one of those old schools. I had
Right.
to rig the thing up myself, figure out how to get it to work if I wanted to use it, and then had to go pull it out of like the family room to take it into my room.
It's funny. There was always that reputation that like Bill's folks are strict.
Yeah.
And you would hear that, and you would always hear Barney, fucking Bernie this, Bernie that.
Yeah.
But like, at least in my experience back then, like very seldom heard actual words come out of his mouth. In the event that you saw there was a Bernie sighting,
right? Yeah.
Man, a few words.
Yeah.
So you see that, and that's your experience. But then strict parents, you're like, I bet when he does have something to say, he fucking means it.
He fucking means it. Yeah. Well, nobody really liked coming over to our house.
Oh,
I really think because a lot of people have, and still today, have a hard time understanding what he says. His accent's pretty thick.
okay.
And probably even more so back in the day.
Yeah.
With that. But then the other thing is, he'd put people to work. Like, he'd have me out there, like, picking up gumballs or acorns or something. If somebody came by, he'd have them to work.
Nice.
And they weren't telling him no.
Right. No, and he probably knew that.
Oh, yeah.
So I can get this guy to.
Yeah, you go out there and pick up those weeds.
He sees a friend pull up on his bike, and he just sees him as $20.
I mean,
he's saving.
I could probably count on one hand the number of times that, like, people slept over at my house.
For real?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. I mean, it was always your house or Wilkie's house or something like that.
Yeah. Man, Wilkie's house was just always such a treat.
I mean,
fucking snacks everywhere.
Snacks,
unlimited
Skittles,
sodas.
right? The Skittles.
Well, she would do
Skittles, peanut M&Ms.
Chex. She had like not a Chex Mix, but something like that. That was like, she must have just been dumping MSG in there.
It was insane, right? That Chex Mix was the best stuff I've ever.
And
had.
I would just like sheepishly, cash a bowl. And then like we'd go upstairs or outside to shoot hoops or something, come back in refilled.
Right.
Like, fucking yo.
Or late night, the 6488888 got dialed up.
But also like no shortage of video game options.
No.
And he used to get like all the pay-per-view shit.
Oh, yeah.
Fucking WrestleMania, Tyson fights.
Yep.
I mean, it was like just literally up the street. And it's like this whole fucking, it's like Neverland Ranch.
Right,
But without all the molesting.
All the weird shit. I just remember like late night, obviously when you're in high school or something. No, it's good. Late night at high school, coming back and watching like TNT and watching like monster trucks. It's like just stuff, like just random stuff. And I can't tell you how many times I saw Major League fucked up over there.
Okay, yeah.
Late night, just like on repeat or something.
I mean, and then, just like the coolest combo of like loving mom and like fun, good coach, and kind of vibes with whatever the, while he, obviously now we vibe over cocktails and cigars and whatever as adults, but I mean he could always just direct the, like, okay, it's all about KU basketball, it's all about Saturday Night Live, whatever it is,
right?
And then on into our partying years, the first time that he came home blackout drunk, I mean puking and shit, and she like nursed him back to health and made him chicken noodle soup and all this shit. I was like, do you understand?
That wouldn't have fucking happened at my house.
Absolutely not at mine either. I mean,
I just know that. So my sister, younger one, came home fucked up like that from a party.
She did?
Yeah,
okay.
Just really fucked up. She must have been it must have been her freshman year, and I don't know if she was puking everywhere, but she stumbled in and whatever else. That next morning, it was probably like a Saturday morning, I get the boot into the wall, go mow the damn yard.
Taking it out on you?
Taking it out on me because I was the irresponsible older brother and didn't bring her home.
Oh, you guys were out together?
Well, she showed up at some party, and I'm like, what the fuck are you doing here? Like one of those things, So,
wow, man.
I was on the receiving end for a few of those things, like heaters in the bathroom. We had one of those little...
that she did?
Oh, yeah.
And you got the...
She blame it on me, or,
man.
they didn't want to think that she was doing it, so they...
Assume.
They assume.
Wow.
One of those old school bathrooms with the little brick windows.
Uh-huh.
And then it's got the little awning window at the top that tilts out.
Yep.
And they're just working heaters.
Like it's her job.
Like it's her job, yeah.
Man, so you, I mean, it wasn't just like, the flip of a switch, but you now, today, have yourself, as Foxworthy likes to say, I live at the Naked Barbie Woodstock. I swim in the estrogen ocean.
Oh yeah,
You're surrounded by girls.
I'm a girl dad.
You're a girl. Well, you're a girl dad.
2 girl dogs. Yeah,
and
it's me. I'm
your
solo.
wife.
Yeah.
And I mean, is there still communication with your eldest and her?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's
Well,
does
which,
she ever?
are you mean between?
Not, no, I mean, does she? Is it her presence in
No.
under your roof
No,
in any way?
not really.
Okay.
Not anymore.
How are things good between the two of them?
I think so. Yeah.
Does she have her stuff looking better than she has in the past, or tough to say?
Tough to say. I don't really, now that Maddie's old enough, we don't really communicate like that often.
Right.
It's basically, and if it's done through a text message.
Okay. Does she still go up there, or
When she can, the kid's really busy.
Yeah.
And started working and stuff like that. So she's pretty focused on her stuff, So she was up there a couple times. Not this summer, but
okay? It's I've I've at least commented to your wife once or twice, and I'm pretty sure you too. But it's so freaking remarkable to see you guys having sort of come out the other side.
yeah.
And shit is, and especially, the wild card in my mind is always the relationship between her and your wife.
Yeah.
And it just seems to look super strong and healthy all the time. I'm sure that there are moments, but
There's moments with everything.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a thing that like has given me goosebumps, has made me verklempt, in a joyous way. And I just, I don't know if we'll ever feel like I've commended you guys enough. But it's super cool.
It's been a journey.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like
yeah,
with anything.
Yeah.
I mean, this journey's been happening since Maddie was 2. So it's a windy, long
Yeah.
and windy road.
Yeah.
And it still is today.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously we want to be respectful of everybody.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
and that's really what we tried to do.
Yeah.
It's important.
It's not always easy.
It's not. And but it's not about me.
Yeah.
And it's not about Angie.
Yeah.
It's about the kid.
Yeah.
Really. And that's what gets lost
Yeah.
with a lot of people.
Well, I was thinking a little bit this morning, like confident that some variety of this
I figured this was coming. Yeah.
And I remember a time, maybe like you still lived up there and came down for a visit or two, or maybe you were freshly moved here, and things were not easy.
No.
And you were kind of quick to be like, dude, that, now I'm sort of in those shoes too.
Right.
And it's a weird thing to like kind of look at yourself.
Yeah.
And obviously people are different and people change and lots of stuff, but just being like, man, I'm not so much stuck in I can't believe that I spent a lot of time in and gave a lot of
Right.
energy to, but now the space is, man, I'm so glad that I'm not,
Yeah.
like,
It
and
takes time to get out of that space.
and you say that, and maybe the average ear would think 18, 24 months,
No.
dude. It's
Not when you have little people involved in the
right,
equation.
right.
Because, that's the thing that really is crazy, and it can get crazy because, obviously people meet people,
Mm-hmm.
and then new people are involved in the relationship. And the whole thing that happened with Angie and I was Angie specifically didn't want to meet Maddie until we knew that there was something there, because that's the worst
Between the
thing
two of you.
between the two
Okay.
of us, because you don't want to come into a kid's life, start developing a relationship, and then
Bounce.
bounce.
Yeah.
You
How
know?
did you guys meet?
So after I got divorced, I purchased a house in Bettendorf, Iowa,
Uh-huh.
and Angie was actually my neighbor's best friend.
Okay.
They grew up and stuff together.
Okay.
So she introduced us.
Nice.
Yeah, so
She's the best, dude.
she's really cool, man. It's I constantly get it from people like, dude, you so outkicked your coverage. I see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know.
But even like there've been, you've had us over for a couple of regular games, but also a
Right.
couple of really big games, the
Yeah.
biggest of
Yeah.
games. And there's this interesting cocktail when that's the environment, when it's a big game or the biggest game, and everybody is just jacked on adrenaline and joy and anxiety and all of these things that kind of brings everybody together. But you also, it's easy for your little individual pieces of personality to kind of
Sure.
ooze out.
Yeah.
So as situations like that, often come with some adult beverages, and I've seen both of you kind of get in that direction where it's sort of like second nature to mess with one another.
Right.
And it always seems to just stay, there's up that it stays under control.
Right.
And doesn't ever go to this place where you're like, all right, guys, maybe we should get, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, sure.
Like,
Yeah.
and it's, again, another testament to just somehow you landed in your little world of women, and
it's crazy.
And all of you guys are busy.
It's insane. Just to go back to that, like the very first time that Angie met you, Blair, she wasn't sure if you liked her or not.
Well, we were out.
Yeah, we were out, but and she didn't get your
and
humor.
going.
Yeah, and going good, but she doesn't. I don't think always get. She didn't understand your humor, and so that like freaked her out. She's like, I don't know if he likes me.
Because I fucking with her.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And,
okay.
Yeah, and I can't remember where the hell it was, but it was some bar, and we were probably, I don't know, we were pretty deep.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was.
Well,
it was
I
great.
think
and I'm just like, you just have to know.
Yeah.
Just the rib piece to it.
Yeah. Well, I think. So again, it's like you're maybe still there and visiting.
Yeah.
And
probably there.
We met up, and I'll never forget. You were like either last night or the last time we were in town. We went out. The two of us went out, and the bartender was like, "Can I help you?" And you're like, "I don't know. Can you? Can you serve up some anti-fun police elixir for my wife here, who apparently doesn't enjoy having a good time?" And I was like, Bill just opened the door for me to come just right in, just guns blazing. Yeah. I don't give a fuck. It'll all be fine.
Yeah.
But I was like, thanks, Bill. I got it from here, But I definitely remember being like an evening where there was multiple locations.
Sure.
And like, some fun and trash talk, and then like the next spot we're at, she's like, not so sure about this guy, and I was like, what? Like
I want to. Maybe it was even. I think it was in Waldo somewhere.
Okay.
Maybe
okay.
It's possible, like the district poorhouse, maybe. Something
Could be.
Could have been. Something. I don't even know.
The thing about that era is just like it was never. Let's say we meet for a cocktail, and it's like 5:30 or 6. I mean, there's still sunlight.
Yeah.
It's never enough to have been out for 7 hours.
No.
It's go full steam through the final minutes of the last hour. It's like never take your foot off the gas. And then obviously feel like garbage for a day or two. And then once you're back to like a lot of those memories are goodbye. You got
it's like that must be the Shawnee Mission beast in you, right?
God.
From the I mean, I think it's like brought up that way or something. It's wild.
Well, it's I mean, I think I've shared with you at least once, with my kids, I mean, the fact that she snuck that, very, I want to do this and I want to do that, and constantly, right? And it's like, we don't invite ourselves over places ever. It's rude.
Yeah.
And they have been hearing that for years, but they still are like, I don't think it is. I'm gonna, so for her to be like, I'm gonna come to your house, it's just like, fucking dude, what are you doing? But
it's great though.
They it's like their fucking favorite destination. I mean, you do have the ultimate space, and
But I think it's also the older kids, right? So I think that always the younger kids are always attracted to go where the older kids are,
Yeah.
because they see
Well-
what it's going to be like and stuff.
well, so Zoe has always like played well with both.
Yeah, she asked me actually if Adeline was going to be here.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And she, I mean, like one of for the early visits, she like I think she gave Adeline a bunch of toys, and she's good with both, but she's also like, she's in her own sort of age bubble,
Right.
but it's not so far from Adeline that she can't relate.
Sure.
Right. But then she can also just totally turn on, their age and hang out and play. I mean,
Right.
or at least she's kind of like a little bit less. And then Maddie's always been, just like a different animal of admiration
Yeah, she's a quiet kid anyway. So
from Adeline.
Yeah.
What level of awareness he has of her, I mean, he very little, probably. But she's a cool kid, right?
Yeah,
Like
really cool kid.
and I think that there's a fine line that you walk in. Mostly, you're on the side of, I want to be left alone, and if that means hanging out in my space alone, or with somebody else up here, or whoever, then let me do that. But also, I'll dip my toe in the waters of being social.
Sure.
Okay, so
On
it's
the
like
occasion,
perfect little.
Yeah.
If she was just completely and like never came around, they would probably be like, "What's the story with Bill's oldest?"
Yeah.
But and then of course the things that she's into and the skills that she has, and it's very visible. It's just cool stuff. Did any of the three girls listen to stuff at the house or privately, or?
They all listen to, a lot of the stuff is like TikTok stuff that they
Mm-hmm.
hear on there. So like there's a lot of rap music, I guess, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
That's being played there, but I think that like Angie varies.
Okay.
She likes some rap, like,
Yeah.
but
I mean, does anybody ever go to a thing and put something on?
well, we'll put stuff on like through an Amazon
Yeah,
device or something
yeah.
like that if we're making dinner or
Sure.
something like that. But a lot of times that's like, so Angie's grandfather was a big music fan, loved jazz.
Okay.
And so a lot of times cooking or whatnot,
Nice.
we'll put something on.
Okay.
Yeah.
And she's been driving for a minute, right?
Yeah.
Does she have her own car?
She has her own car.
And does she play stuff in there? Or?
Just via her phone. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's like, I think Da Baby
Oh,
and
boy.
there's like 15 babies.
I know.
It's just
I
like
know.
I can't keep track of them all, but that's like Lil Baby. She went to see Rod Wave at the Uptown.
Okay.
So
I mean,
yeah, me either. I just know that when I pulled in to pick her and her friend up, it was pretty cool. I mean, I thought I was at a fish show.
what?
Just like you could just smell
Oh, gotcha.
smell the weed.
Cutting the lawn.
Oh, yeah.
That's
So
funny.
it was all right.
Does she talk to you about that kind of stuff? Or Angie, or?
No, I think that she's pretty serious with sports.
Yeah.
So at least to my knowledge and what she tells us, she's not doing any of that.
But
stuff.
I mean, it absolutely has to come out and
Yeah.
be visible when she's hanging and doing whatever. Like,
For
I
sure.
would suspect she sees it.
I'm sure she sees it. She doesn't partake in any of that stuff.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Um,
At least what she tells us.
yeah.
But I haven't found any reason to doubt that.
Yeah. Zoe going into 8th?
She's just started 8th grade.
Okay.
Which is crazy.
Yeah.
It's like I have an 8th grader and a senior in
I
high
know.
school.
So they won't be in the same building.
Yeah, they were like, it was really cool. Like this summer, they both did summer basketball workouts at Northwest. So that was the first time that they've ever done any sport together. And
Ever?
because
Whoa.
the age difference has been such
Yeah.
that it's just never happened. Zoe was really excited. It was pretty cool.
So when I asked you about doing this, you like the first time I brought it up,
Yeah.
you were pretty warm to it.
Yeah.
And then the next time I saw you, you were like, I got a record.
Yeah.
And then fast forward a bunch of months, and normally, I'll like right now I'm trying to book October, November, and December.
Sure.
So I'll just send people the dates that are still available, and they'll pick one. But every once in a while, I'll have somebody cancel or whatever, and a spot opens up, and I hit you up for some other Saturday, and you're like, "Man, you're putting me on the spot." And I was like, "I wonder if that's because the the slot I'm suggesting is very near, or because now he's really thought about it and he's not sure if he wants to do it."
No,
anymore.
I think it was more along the lines of it was really near because so legitimately since July 4th until last week, I've been on the road basically for basketball and work, basketball and work, basketball and work.
Damn.
So, like, this was my first full week
Okay.
at home since the 4th of July.
It's fucking 6 weeks, dude. Just
Yeah.
going.
Yeah.
Well, I do. It's always interesting, some people know right away. Some people will think for a little bit. Some people think for a long time. You were one of the middle group.
Middle of the road. Sorry.
But when you told me you had like a gleam in your eye.
Mm-hmm.
You're like Metallica, Black Album.
Yeah.
Or Metallica. And I was like, oh shit, really? And you're like, yeah. I was like, fucking A. All right, man.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until, so this is 29 and 24. That dude chose, an REM record, and Justice for All, and two Tool records.
Wow.
So to get ready for that was the first time in my life that
Listen to Tool?
that I sat down and actively listened to Metallica.
Oh, really?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Really, my only other exposures would be Matt Smith used to play some,
Yeah.
late night, wasted in his basement.
Sure.
And then
Back when he had that red
the
Ford.
Ford Escort.
Escort, yeah.
With the little, it always blew me away. It had the little yellowish orange arrow.
How many people had keys to that car?
I don't know. I mean,
That thing would leave like at lunch
I forgot about that.
and be in a different spot.
Right.
He could show up at school, and this was before cell phones. So could you imagine how unnerving that would be?
Well, I think after so many times, you're just like, it's always a
It's
mystery.
here, it's somewhere, right?
That guy Matt never knows where his car's parked.
I think that's probably even before alarms were readily
Oh,
available
yeah,
to where you
for
could
sure.
just like honk the horn or
Yeah,
something to try to
because if
find
you
it.
knew what you were doing back then, it was no problem for you to go pick a lock and just
Yeah, be gone. it'd be
yeah,
gone. Yeah.
no fucking oh shit,
Yeah.
But he had this, so like, I don't know if there was is it a tachometer that shows RPMs?
Yeah.
Tachometer, and then the miles per hour, and then whatever other. But right just above the dash was this little arrow that would illuminate whenever it was time to shift gears. And to me, I mean, I didn't learn to drive on a stick, but I, learned how to drive a stick very shortly after learning how to drive.
Right.
And so, my first car was a stick. My truck after that was a stick. So anyway, like I've always, if you live that and do that, it just feels. You always have, it varies between cars, right? If
Yeah.
you drive your buddy's car home, or if I don't know if Hart ever let me drive the Mustang.
I don't think anybody could
I
drive
asked
that
a
thing.
lot.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I tried to get all the levels of sobriety, like stone cold, and
Yeah.
hell no.
Yeah. I just remember getting on a highway on
Yeah.
that thing at about, the minute he hit that on-ramp, that bitch was going to the
Dude.
floor.
But anyway, so it's always a feel, right? Like
Yeah.
when you come out of first and into second, and so on and so forth. But I don't know if Matt learned how to drive a stick on that car, but he didn't. He was always absent of that feel, and he just relied on
On
that
the little
the
light.
arrow, and it
Yeah.
was always way, way, way too early. So he'd be like throwing into third, and the thing's like it's like fucking quit looking at that thing, dude. But anyway, So occasionally he would play, or I would hear some of that at his place. But beyond that, it was really this record and all the radio play it got. And I think, I don't know. I don't know if I was ever aware of how fucking packed this record is.
It's crazy.
I
right?
mean,
like every song on there has been everybody knows every song on that.
well, at least half.
Yeah.
Because I
There's a couple on there that you're just like, they're not awesome. At least in my opinion.
Yeah.
But
I threw it on and I was like, oh shit, like I saw the track listing and I was like, okay. Oh, I was thinking 2 tracks, but it's more like 4. And then I'm listening to it, and I'm like 5, 6.
yeah,
like,
how many tracks are even on there?
12 maybe.
Yeah, it's like at least. I don't know. I was actually just listening to it
12.
On the way over here, just because I.
I mean, and so obviously, Inner Sandman hit us first. Like it was
Right.
the first single, right?
Right.
And so if this is 91, the different identities that song has taken on in the last 30 years,
Which is crazy. I mean,
it's iconic to hear. Like it makes you can be anywhere. You could be at the library and you'd hear the opening No Sinner Sandman and be like, yeah, okay. But for it to be the kickoff to this record, I was like, fuck, what an entry.
right. Yeah.
I mean, I fucking never thought I'd get goosebumps
going
talking about
nuts.
Metallica,
Yeah,
but I mean, and then Sad But True, like
Right.
just quick indicator of how much of this record I know. It's a great track, and that fucking there you talk about iconic. That hey, I mean,
Yeah. I mean, it's just like.
it transports you, shoots you with confidence,
Yeah.
adrenaline, maybe a little edge.
So really, the whole reason I really love this album is obviously listen to it back then, but when I was going through my divorce, to put this album on and get on like a stationary bike to work out, man, you can blast through some stuff.
I
and
bet.
just like clear your mind, and you can ride the hell out of a stationary bike through that entire album. I'm telling you. And when you're done, you had to work.
Yeah.
Like sweat. 3 shirts. Like normally I'd just put like undershirt, long sleeve shirt, and a sweatshirt
To work out.
to work out.
Wow.
Throw it over
You
my
really
head,
wanna sweat.
and then just go and just have this thing. I'm sure people around me heard it, and that was going. I mean, that was the go-to album every day that I worked out.
Okay. So how long did that relationship last?
Oh boy,
5?
no,
3?
It was quick.
Okay.
Yeah.
And did Maddie come along early in it, or?
Yeah. Pretty.
Okay.
Early, yeah.
And then was there a separation phase where it was like, we're not sure what's going to happen, but for now we got to be apart, or was it just like,
It was it.
okay,
Yeah.
okay. And then how long did it take for you to complete the process of, court and all, whatever you had to do?
Gosh, that was a year.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's
It's a long time.
it is.
And it's a stressful long time.
Well, it's weird, man.
It's really weird. Yeah.
And you can be frustrated, you can be unsure, you can be hurt, you can be angry, you can be and it's a lot, so you've got this big bag of things that you can be,
Right.
and they a lot of them can sneak up on you.
They sure can.
And it can really test your can you take something like that on and pause for a sec?
Well, not only take that on, but then try to conduct life as it is. right?
Exactly.
And try to work, have
Right.
a job, and do that. And
Right.
That album, and I found that was my outlet, and I could listen to that and ride that bike.
Ground you a little bit.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It kept me from doing crazy stuff. I mean,
Which,
as you know, your mind, it does crazy things to you, right?
Yeah.
And especially going through something like that. And
Yeah.
you're just like, I mean, there's a whole lot of different paths that you can go down.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you also, you know, you didn't enter into that relationship or the situation or the aftermath completely absent of crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, like you always had, not that you used it, but you always had that little extra gear if
Yeah.
you just for a quick second, and you right back into fifth, be like, what, you know? I'm thinking specific. Was it you? Was the whiteout?
Oh, yeah.
You and
That was
Mr.
me.
Halls. I mean,
Jeez, that was
not to say I wouldn't have.
No.
Plenty. I've done plenty. You know.
That almost got me expelled from school.
It was the quickest fucking second, and then it, like, weeks later, became this huge thing. Like, are they fucking still talking about that?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Well, it was multiple bottles, right?
Oh, okay.
Because
Okay.
it was, well, I was a pitcher, right? So shortstop.
And who is on the sidelines instigating, as always?
Pat.
No. Fucking David Glick.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Just-
yeah, Boots. We remember we got that whole Boots
Yeah.
thing going.
Yeah.
Jeez. That's
there-
a long time ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was.
There was a
Well, the whole thing, too, was like, yeah. Yeah.
there was a kidney. We had a kidney from the
Was
body.
that natural science class or something like that?
I think it was biology.
Was it biology?
Yeah.
Yeah.
James Hall, right?
Yeah. Boots.
Boots. There was a
Frickin' Glick just in the background, just screaming Boots. Just
that guy has like 2 or 3 extra gears, and he doesn't mind shifting into one of them and just being like, "This is how I'm rolling right now."
Yeah.
But there was that guy, like,
Thank God my parents never found out about that.
oh, they didn't?
No.
How?
Great question.
Huh.
Well, because Art Newcomer kind of like put the kibosh on all that stuff because it was like during state swimming. And I was going to swim in state,
Nice.
So he was like, basically get it cleaned up or attempt to clean it up and you're good.
Wow.
Yeah.
I wound up like just the tail end, like passing period, like the bell had rung.
Yeah.
But they always got a couple of folks scattering, trying to get their shit together and so the big staircase where homeboy fell.
Yeah.
Just over, not quite to the ramp, the start of the ramp going down, right there. Like I had ducked out of Spanish 2, and it was a 5th hour, so maybe we had like second lunch, and I went there, and then took like 2 lunches, and then was just like back in the building trying to make my way to 6th hour.
Right.
But my teacher, she would get on your case for lots of other things,
right,
but not so much something like that. So I was like, that's cool. But she like went to the office, or she was like on a mission to like
find out,
let me know that I had terribly misjudged what was important to her. So all of a sudden I find myself in between the staircase and the top of the ramp right there with her and Art Newcomer. And she's been like, where were you? And I'm like, what are you talking about? It's fucking in Spanish class, and I went to lunch and now here. And like she snapped, and Art Newcomer was standing there, always fucking suit and tie.
Turn it down, turn it down.
He was like, answer the lady's question. And I was like, motherfucker, I was in Spanish class. What are you talking about? He's like, I'm going to put you on the corner of 75th and Mission Road in 3 seconds. 2. And he was like red in the face and fucking spit, and I was just like, and I whatever it was, I was at home getting high, or I was at McDonald's, whatever. I just fucking blurted it out, and and he dished out whatever the punishment was, but I was like, you little fucking piece of shit, Napoleon complex having motherfucker. Like, if I would have been an asset to one of the sports team, he probably would have treated me different. But anyway, Hall, he just always, of course, the boots, but also always the mug of coffee, and as a result, always just the worst fucking coffee breath ever. And he would roll around. He would roll into that a lot of times. We would be in there and seated in classes, and like he's not fucking there.
No.
And he would just kind of stroll in, and it was this weird like. I know that I don't have control of this particular group of kids because that was a wild.
Yeah, that was.
And like most days, he seemed to like not give a fuck.
He didn't give a fuck.
And some days he'd be like, "All right, guys." But anyway, there was one day in particular where something was going on in the school, and we were gonna have to like prepare for something, and somebody was saying, you know, we would be like hiding under our chairs with snacks or something, and he just goes, "Cokes."
It's like
Everybody in the room was like, he thought he was like in
Right.
with it, and now he's gonna crack wise with us, and it's like, "You sir, are your boots? You're the
your
furthest
boots.
from in."
Yeah.
But anyway,
Yeah.
I got to imagine you have been out on a Havoc night with Glick and the crew at some point, or were you just you guys? So Rainbow Towers did you live there with Bean?
Yeah.
You got. I mean, I've definitely witnessed like
Stuff going on.
plant pots and you know. So even if he wasn't around, like some Havoc.
Yeah.
So I mean, and you know, like it's a funny. Like I've definitely found myself, in the spot where it's like this is where you choose if you're going to shift into that next gear or not, and just kind of like timid. And sometimes I do, and sometimes you're always just like,
fuck it. Yeah. Sometimes I'm just like, yeah.
You like that? Check out this couch.
Yeah.
Let's go steal that truck.
I mean, that's I'm pretty sure those days are pretty much gone now.
Well, yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
God, but yeah, back then it was like I wasn't exactly the tallest person in the room,
Right.
but I was not afraid to run my mouth. But I always hung out with guys that were, I mean, in college, tall, big dudes, and
Yeah.
you'd be someplace.
Where'd you go?
I started at Western Illinois.
Okay.
Playing soccer there.
Okay.
But then I got hurt, so that was all she wrote. But like even there, like you'd be hanging out with all these dudes that played football or whatever else or soccer. So, and I was always kind of small, so people talk shit to you.
Right.
And
I'll fuck you up.
I'm not afraid to say
Get a load of
something.
this
Right? Yeah. And then but you always had these massive mountains just come
dude.
with you. Yeah.
Well, I mean that's the
Yeah.
that's like maybe more notorious than corn is this idea of Iowa fed, or I don't know what they feed them up there, but just
Big dudes, yeah.
and Nebraska has a little bit of that too.
They do.
The state. I'm not
Well,
talking university.
To be honest, we had one in our friend group. No,
said Mustang owner.
Said Mustang owner, but then also Gronky.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That dude is. He's next level stuff. I think a lot of times he's just quiet. Just like. But if you mess with one of his guys, it is on.
Were you out? I don't think you were here. There was a night we were out on the plaza, and it was like, I was living with him, so it was 02, 03, 04, somewhere in there. And somebody had gotten married. I don't remember who, but we were out. We were all out, and it was late. And we're at the Falloon, and we're all still in suits. And this dude, we're over. It's packed, and this somehow Gronky picked up on the fact that this dude over here is being a tool, and I don't know if he was like trying to play grab ass or something, but I think he eventually like threw a girl on this drink, or threw a drink on this girl.
Threw a girl on this drink, right?
Because whatever he was trying to make happen was being met with rejection, and it's the craziest flash I've ever been. But the next thing you know, like I think, I don't know if anybody got told to leave, but all of a sudden there's like 30 of us outside, and it's mayhem, and a lot of people are just trying to get the fuck away.
Right.
And I look over and Gronky is destroying that dude because he confronted him. He's like, "What the fuck's your problem?" And the dude's like, "I will mop up this floor." And I mean, like on the fucking sidewalk, and I mean, ripped shirts and ties, fucking, and blood on the sidewalk. And I was like,
And it wasn't any of Gronky's.
no.
Yeah.
And I was like, for a second, because I was like, in the middle of something, but then I turned and saw it. And for a second, I was like scared. I was like, "Oh my god," And then I was like, "Oh, everything's totally chill."
Oh, yeah.
Gronky is just all but eliminating that person's existence from the planet.
Right.
And it's just like, yeah, always good guy to have on your side.
Right. Just, I mean, most soft-spoken,
Yep.
mild-mannered dude until
Yeah.
you do something that, like, you mess with one of his people, and it's Donkey Kong time.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really what it kind of
Yeah.
can turn into.
Yeah.
Right.
So Holier Than Thou is a great, just balls to the wall, in the way that it opens, but across the whole.
Right.
Love that track. So this was album 5 out of 11 for them. And I was familiar with all the ones that came before it, but I didn't realize they had continued to just. Do you listen to other stuff of theirs, or?
Some stuff, I mean, I'm not listening to tons of it now, other than some of this old stuff. But
Right.
I think one of my best concert memories ever would have been their Reload tour.
Okay.
And the reason I say that, that's another good album. But so I would have been living here at the time, finishing up at UMKC, and
So Western,
and
what? Not Western Illinois.
Yeah,
Western Illinois.
Yeah.
Then you got hurt.
Yep.
And then are you out of school for a while? Or?
I finished my freshman year, and then I left and went back I went to a community college by my house.
Okay.
So, did some other stuff. Worked.
And then how did you wind up finishing at UMKC?
So I went to chiropractic school.
Okay.
Did that for like about 7 trimesters and decided that really wasn't for me.
Okay.
And moved here again to finish school. Finished it up at UMKC. So.
But you weren't living where you live now, were you?
No.
Okay.
Well, where I live now, I was living in the plaza.
Oh,
Yeah.
like pre-children and marriage.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So like, yeah. So then, just lost my train of thought. Yeah.
Listening to other stuff of theirs.
So there was a fish show out at Sandstone, right? So figuring a good way to make a little cash, so I loaded up probably about 10 cases of water in this old Oldsmobile that I had.
Really?
Or Buick Regal, actually.
Okay.
Go out there selling them, for basically $1 a bottle.
Yeah.
Back then, made good money that
Yeah.
night. Well, the next night, Metallica was out there.
Okay.
Reload was going. So I'd never seen him. It was kind of a weird night out there. So here I'm doing the same thing, right? But come to find out, you're really not supposed to be doing that. But
no.
Everything's different with fish, right? So
Yeah.
as you know, like you can do whatever the fuck you want in the parking lot. Nobody jacks with you. I think it's just what it is. I'm out there with a trunk full of water selling them. Guy rolls up on me. And he's like, "You got a permit for that?" I'm like, "The fuck I need a permit for? The fuck?" And I said, "You want to buy one or not?" He whips a badge out.
Damn.
And I was like, "Ooh." Thus, the gear kind of shifted. Like, no, but I was just like, and I was like, "No permit." And he's like, "Pack the shit up or you're going to jail." I'm like, "Pack the shit up." But just as that's happening, some guys saw me getting harassed. They give me 2 tickets to the show, right? So
You weren't going to go?
I wasn't going to go. I was just
Okay.
going to go out there and sell water, right?
Yeah.
And then boogie. Well, it just happens to be probably one of the craziest nights for a concert I've ever been to. Like, you're out there in Bonner Springs.
Yeah.
There was a storm coming in from the west. So Metallica's Reload is like, got all these pyrotechnics. Well, while all this pyro shit's going off, lightning is racing across the sky everywhere.
Oh, my God.
So it was just like, probably, I'm getting goosebumps.
Yeah.
Like, it was probably one of the coolest concerts I've ever been to. And then top it off, like all the adrenaline with all that stuff going on, and then them just killing
Hammering it,
just
yeah.
hammering it. Yeah.
That must have been like 03-ish.
I want to say it was like late 90s. So
Okay.
so it was probably 97, 98,
98,
somewhere in
yeah.
probably
Yeah.
98, I would guess. It
98.
was probably the last time Fish actually physically played out at Sandstone, I would guess.
They had an '03
Did they?
show.
Okay.
But 98 it fucking dumped. I mean, it rained so
It was
fucking
hot
hard.
as fuck out there. That's why I sold so much water, because
Right.
people were dropping like flies.
Yeah.
Right. So I mean, not just because of the heat and stuff,
Right.
but that was a
It's crazy, like obviously on Fish's lot and the Dead's lot, there's a shakedown street.
yeah.
And tons of people selling all kinds of stuff, either as part of that or just privately or whatever. The only time I've ever seen like a lot of energy put into stopping somebody was in the early to mid 90s. There was a big, and for whatever reason it's fine now if you have like a fucking shade tent
Yeah.
and a whole setup. But anyway, there was a really, I mean, I long for, I wish I would have been more organized and had more money, because I would have loved to own a lot of these. But there was a really big push of, taking the name or a line from a song and making a shirt out of it
Right.
with a product.
Sure.
Like the biggest, probably one that most folks have seen is the Bounce fabric softener, and then it's instead of Bounce, it's just bouncing around the room.
Right.
Lots and lots of cool shirts, and dudes were just backpacks full, and a wad. And I wound up for just a minute, for a little pocket of shows, I saw those people get approached and pack it up. Or once or twice I saw people taken away, and it's like, who are you policing? Like, that shirt's not being sold in there. It's not like they're taking away sales from something inside the venue.
People are still going to buy the shit in the venue.
But
Yeah.
the shit that's being sold doesn't exist elsewhere.
Exactly.
And it's like,
Yeah, it's just like,
who do you represent? Are you security for the venue? Are you do you
do you remember what venues they were at?
I mean, mostly I was seeing, those were summer shows, so it was mostly I would see them at Sandstone or at Red Rocks.
Okay. I had a similar experience like that, and I found it to be probably true for a lot of the shows that happen at Noblesville, Indiana.
Oh, yeah.
They're really strict about everything there.
Except for nitrous.
Well, apparently, yeah. I mean,
Right.
you can't smoke weed or anything there. I mean,
Really?
It's so weird. Like the Fish show, we showed up. So, two of the guys that I lived with in Chicago after I got out of college, they both went. I randomly met them through Danny Mayer, actually.
Oh, yeah.
And, they were his roommates, and they both were Iowa graduates. Well, there's a lot of stories that go back for these guys. Like, a couple of them, one of them stole a nitrous tank out of the dentist laboratory at Iowa City. And so they'd have these crazy nitrous parties. And we went on just a quick run. I think we saw a Fish show, and I think we saw the Fish show in Alpine Valley. And the next night we went to, I think we saw Buffett
Okay.
in Noblesville.
Yeah.
I can't
Keep
remember.
the party rolling.
Yeah, right. So it was like bang bang.
Yeah.
And they didn't allow any type of party. Like at a Buffett show, it's a spectacle. Like, people bring truckloads of sand in, they dump it, they'll set up a beach.
What?
Yeah, it's insane.
And then just leave the sand there?
Just leave the sand. They just don't care. Yeah. And
Blew out my flip-flop.
yeah, and just smoking and,
Sure.
and having a good time. But in that lot, and they'd gone to some Fish shows. They push you to go inside the venue. They don't want you hanging out in the lot.
Okay.
So it just, the vibe sucked.
Yeah.
So I wasn't sure if you experienced that type of
No,
vibe.
and I mean, I saw back-to-back shows at Alpine in 2010 because Anna was pregnant with Adeline.
Now that's probably, I think, the greatest place to watch a show.
I mean, it was great. It was fantastic,
So
and I stupidly bought VIP parking and VIP had access to anything I wanted booze wise.
Yeah.
So I was
You were feeling
beyond toasty walking out, but I'm like stopping and just getting Jaeger shots.
Yeah,
just
sure.
you know,
Just hammering away.
So that was really fun. But then Adeline was 2, and we went up and saw 2 shows at Deer Creek.
Okay. There it is, Deer Creek, Knowlesville, Indiana.
I don't remember. I mean, it's called something else now.
Yeah, it's like Verizon Wireless
but
bullshit.
I don't remember. I mean, we camped.
Yeah.
So we didn't have a whole lot of time like right at the venue that we spent, but I mean, the campground was just, you know, every 2 minutes a golf cart's driving by, and both spots have tanks.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so much fucking. I was like, I want to know how this many people got access to this many, but apparently that's been the case up there for years.
That's wild. Yeah, I didn't see any of that.
Oh
there.
man, I mean the camp. It was just like, Adeline was like, "Daddy, look, balloons," and I was like, "I know, they're everywhere, honey."
Yeah.
And she was just,
don't touch one of those balloons.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, and I don't know what the deal is now. It's just like, because there's a shakedown street, anything fucking goes.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's been a while since I've been to one of those shows.
Right.
I just haven't been able to. It's not that I don't want to. I just haven't been able to physically go, because it seems like the last 3 summers really have been consumed by. Well, we've had this pandemic that's the ongoing gift, but then basketball and things like that.
Yeah, let's do it. All right, back from a pee break, and I'm toasting Mr. Hall.
Yeah.
Boots. Cokes.
Boots.
But I mean, it was always kind of on the periphery for me, but I definitely have an awareness of around the time that this record was really just fucking in popularity, exploding. And there were some tried and true Metallica fans that were like, they got soft, they sold out. Do you remember that?
Yeah,
I mean,
for sure. I mean, think about like the MTV days, like Beavis and Butthead,
yeah,
right? Wearing the Metallica shirt, Metallica and AC/DC, and like I think that was part of the cartoon. Like when this album came out, that it was softer.
Beavis and Butthead trashed it?
I don't know if they did or not, but this is what I'm imagining.
Yeah.
You know, like, because it's not hard enough for, like, when they're doing their air stuff and things like that. But
did you see the one I sent the other day?
Yeah.
It's ASMR, and he's like, this makes me feel a certain way. Do you know what I mean? He's like, yes, I do.
I mean, anytime that you've got cornholio going on, I mean.
Oh man, they're like kind of revived, right? There's new stuff of theirs out.
I mean, all of this streaming service that's out there, right? So it's Paramount Plus that
that TikTok was from the Beavis and Butthead account,
right?
I mean, it's got to be newer people, different people that are doing the voices, right?
It's got to be. I don't know. I need to start watching that again.
Yeah.
But then therein lies, like, Angie is just like, why would you be watching that? Because I think that shit's funny. Kind of like, why do you watch Tommy Boy? Because that shit's funny to me. Like,
right.
I love those dumb shows. Like, there's this like running joke in my family. Like when we have a get together. Well, I've got the 2 sisters, and both of those sisters, they think that I'm just like a meathead, right?
Okay,
so,
sure.
It's just like. But anytime we do a trivia night or whatever, I kick everybody's ass because it's all the dumbass shit. I can pick up the other stuff, but I swim in that dumbass lane, right? And you just make money.
Yeah,
right?
It's there for a reason.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, man. I don't know. I mean, because like, respect what the record did for metal or hate on it because it's not what it used to be. It's definitely metal was always kind of over here in the basement, right? And it literally took a whole genre and I won't say put it in the spotlight, but they put it to where you could.
It's mainstream.
Yeah,
right?
And
well, look at like, okay, so you say that, but then you look at like Primus, right?
Yeah.
Primus is hardcore, but then you got Les Claypool, right? Look at all the different things that he dabbles in now. Like I went to the first Bonnaroo.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. That's not in Nashville?
It's Manchester, Tennessee.
Manchester.
Yeah.
Is it close to Nashville? What city?
It's pretty close.
Okay.
Yeah. And that was a debauchery. I just remember waiting in the car for like 6 to 8 hours to get into the venue.
Fuck.
And it was during a World Cup, so we were listening to like a German feed for like, because USA was playing something, whatever. But that night, the opening night there, and what's crazy is like you never really saw, like, at least I didn't, maybe this was my first experience with different genres collaborating together, right? You would never think that Les Claypool, I mean, Primus was about as hard as you could get, right? I mean, smashing that bass.
Yeah. They're hardcore to their core, but they're
Right.
not like harder than Metallica. It's not the same flavor. It's not thrash metal.
Well,
It's aggressive.
Yeah.
Something, I don't know.
Yeah, I guess you could say some of that, but like that was the first night that I ever saw like a massive collaboration with musicians that were in completely different genres. Like they had like, it was really cool because they had this. I would equate it to like a funeral procession from New Orleans, right? So they've got the horse and buggy pulling this thing, and they've got like trombone shorty.
Oh, wow.
They've got Robert Randolph. They've got Les Claypool. And they had somebody else. I think that might have been like, oh, I don't know. I can't remember the last, but whatever it was the most insane thing ever. Like
They're all literally collaborating, like playing gig,
and then they
whatever.
go into this tent, and this is probably 2:00 in the morning, right? And then it just goes crazy. Like,
wow.
you got, I mean, I don't know. Have you ever seen Robert Randolph in person?
Here, I think at the
Oh,
Beaumont.
Galactic was the other.
Nice.
Yeah. So I mean,
Nice.
you've got some New Orleans feel
Yeah.
with that. So Robert Randolph, like he was insane.
Yeah,
I
Robert
mean,
Randolph and the Family Band.
Right.
He plays slide, right?
Yeah, plays the slide, and then he's got that little tube that you stick in your.
Oh, like a wah-wah?
Yeah, sort of like
Okay.
that, but he's more of the slide
Or a
guy.
talk box.
Yeah, I think it might have been a little bit of a talk box,
Like
and
Frampton style?
Yeah, Frampton
Wah,
style. Yeah,
wah, wah,
and he's
wah,
got
wah.
that slide guitar, and he was just. I mean, they were all rolling, and Les is just up there keeping the beat, right? Just and wherever it went, the shit went, right?
Yeah.
So he just kind of directed and I just remember Randolph he would throw that slide, basically just like hit it, catch it with his foot, kick it back, and just keep going. And I was like,
What?
it was the most insane thing
Wow.
I've ever seen. It was really cool. So sorry, I digress.
No, you're
but
good.
It was just that. So my thing was like, you get well, I would guess. I thought at the time Metallica was heavy metal, and I thought Primus was heavy metal.
Sure.
So those two, mingling with, funk stuff
Yeah.
and jazz
Yeah.
guys and stuff. It's just cool to see.
Well, I mean, thrash metal, speed metal, whatever,
Yeah.
like, is loud and aggressive and in your face, but it's a different flavor than whoever's sitting on the kit for Primus.
Yeah.
If they get real heavy going on the kick drum, on the bass drum,
Yeah.
and less, they can like create like this kind of earthquakey feeling where
Sure.
it's like, I feel like everything is, all of a sudden delicate or could crumble beneath us because this force, that is like audible and, visible too, because shit can shake. I mean, that's a whole other lane of heavy, and I shouldn't say that one is heavier than the other.
No,
but,
I'm with you there. Yeah.
anyway, I just think that it's really remarkable that, you know, it's not like they sat down to, okay, we're going to do. Now, they did use a different producer, I learned, and this producer insisted that they actually record together. Whereas the previous albums, I guess they would, you know, record the guitar over here. I don't know why that happens. Individual separate tracks. That's going to drive me crazy.
Oh, look at that. It was my phone.
Interesting.
I stuck it up there because I was just going to say, like, Nothing Else Matters. That introduction to that. It's just like everybody knows that.
Yeah. That's where I'm going with this. It's like they still wrote songs and sat down and recorded them and then liked them enough to put them on the album.
Right.
It's not like it was this intent to, like, upset fans or change the way that metal looked. It was just like now instead of, you know, 1 million people loving it, now 100 million people love it. Right. And so, like,
and they play with an orchestra too now.
Right. Yeah.
Which is who would have ever thought that a metal band, that's how they started, right?
I mean, they're still metal.
Would play with an orchestra.
I know. Nothing Else Matters, The Unforgiven, Wherever I May Roam. I mean, just fucking timeless. Like, and like you talk about that sort of rolling thunder that Metallica does that.
Oh,
and you know,
yeah,
you get
just
that.
Like, but that's why like it was therapeutic for me to listen to that, right? Because you get all that, I mean, there's like this aggression to it that comes into like a finale.
Yeah.
And so you can basically cleanse yourself.
Yeah. Sold over 16 million copies just in the States.
That's a lot. Right.
My favorite line, I guess that was, I guess it was tough goings getting this thing recorded. Folks were, you know, at one point I saw the producer was saying, like, I wish Hetfield would write better lyrics and I wish blah, blah, blah. But my favorite summary line is that it was remixed 3 times, cost $1 million to make, and ended 3 marriages. 3 different dudes got divorced while they're
making that.
Yeah.
Wow, that's wild.
Yeah, Nothing Else Matters. Maybe the record got shit on because it had multiple ballad tracks, but, you know, like I said, you feel compelled to write a song, you write it, and then you record it, and then you like the way it sounds, you put it on your record. It's like, that's what musicians do and have
Obviously,
done.
do you think those guys really give a fuck what anybody says about
it?
I mean, when you look at it now, maybe they did then, but it's just like, it is an iconic album.
Well, they certainly have given fucks about plenty. I mean, they sued fucking Napster.
Yeah.
And then they sued, was it maybe right when this record came out? Maybe late. They sued Elektra because they wanted out of their contract and felt like they had given Elektra enough. You know, they had earned across whatever the first 5 records or whatever, like they were getting 14%, which I guess is low, and so they were trying to get free so then they could do whatever, and then Elektra countersues them, and then they wind up settling out of court. Probably, I mean, I'm assuming both sides were happy, but I mean, they just if metal comes with we don't fuck around reputation. I mean, they are not only doing it at shows and in the studio, but in life.
Right.
Like, you know, the whole Napster thing. I mean, not long after, they fucking filed for bankruptcy. I mean, it was like, for a minute, they had this, you know, and I can't even remember Napster. I can't keep track of.
That was back in there.
Yeah.
Kind of stuff.
But you had Napster and you had LimeWire and probably a bunch of others. But I mean, for a minute,
yeah,
people were just fucking printing money, I would think,
right.
You know, but the artists aren't getting any.
No,
and
yeah.
Metallica was like, we're here to stop that shit. That is not. But
they're brute force.
The God That Failed.
Yeah.
is Hetfield. It's about Hetfield's mom dying from cancer and her Christian Science beliefs that prevented her from being able to seek medical treatment. It's like, that's, so I read that and I'm like, it's, and I'm sure, in 2022, like, in the next 10 years, who knows, are there going to be more new religions that have even, but I read that and I'm like, fucking, like, Christian Science, like, you can't seek medical help, and then you have like the Scientology shit, and it's like people fucking are firmly invested in that. And it's like,
how do you get there?
Dude,
I don't understand it. Like,
I don't either.
I mean, my mom died of cancer, and I just don't understand that point of view at all. Like, how you wouldn't go to seek medical help.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Because it's not like, I mean, you can certainly sit there and say, I subscribe to this religion. This is what the religion tells me to do, so I'm going to follow it. But you can't, that same person can't say that cancer exists, and I know that we have, that medicine and practices and approaches exist to diminish or eliminate it. You have to. So how do you reconcile the two things? That's where I get lost.
Yeah, exactly. I don't understand like how that happens. I just heard a story a couple weeks ago. So there's a lot of Amish community that we'll sell into. There's a lot of Amish lumber yards and stuff like that.
Sure.
Like you get the Amish paradise down there, like by Windsor, Missouri.
Churn the butter once or twice.
Yeah. Think of your best Weird Al impersonation, but there was I heard this story, and this Amish family, their son passed away from COVID.
Okay. Do the Amish not see doctors either?
I don't know exactly the whole deal is, but they're not supposed to get vaccinated and all this. But Mom and Dad went and got vaccinated after that, and they were shunned or looked upon differently
from their community.
Mm-hmm, from
Jesus.
Their community.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just like.
So I know it's not enough that you're grieving the loss of your child, but we're also going to like talk shit on you now.
Yeah, it's so
get out of
stupid.
here.
Yeah. So. It's just like,
so you. I know we talked about this past 6 weeks being pretty travel heavy, but I mean, across the calendar year, like there's a fair amount of travel for you, right?
Yeah.
So in the car, in the airport, waiting, whatever, are you mostly sports talk radio, or do you mix it up? Or
so this is really weird. Like I've got a really weird taste in music, so this kind of depends on the mood. Lately, I've listened to a lot of country music.
Okay.
Yeah. I enjoy. Being that am in the car a lot, I have a Sirius satellite radio subscription, so I like to listen to the highway, which is like newer country stuff, stuff like that. And then on Friday afternoon, they have a really cool show. At least I find it cool. People might not. It's it is what it is. To each his own. It's called the Music Row Happy Hour, and they do it live from Margaritaville in Nashville. And so
cool.
It's a big party, right?
Nice.
So that's all. I mean, that's what it's about, and they play music.
Okay, so it's live music.
Not always, live, but they'll have an artist every now and then that'll show up. But the show itself is live. They drink beers, do shots with listeners all from like Newfoundland, right?
Yeah,
people come for that to go to this thing. So it's
cool.
I want to go to it. Like I just want to go hang out and experience the whole
should make
vibe.
a guy's trip out of it.
Yeah, we should do that for sure. Angie get pissed because she wants to go too, but that's cool. Whatever.
She's kind of sort of one of the guys. Right. I mean, like,
she puts up with a lot of the guy stuff. But yeah, so I vary. So like I'll listen to that, and then you might find me on LL Cool J station.
Nice.
10 minutes later, Rock the Bells or something like that, or some newer stuff. I don't know. I like all types.
You're a wild card in that, like, obviously we were not in each other's lives for a good bit, but like once you're back here, or maybe you're here for a visit, and telling me about Deer Creek and Alpine Show, I'm like, what you're doing, what?
Yeah.
And then we went and saw Galactic. We went to Big Gigantic.
Big Gigantic was the greatest show I've ever been
to.
Well, I've already said that 3 times, but like to watch Angie's face in that show.
Yeah.
She just didn't know what to expect.
And then I mean,
think my chest is still shaking from
right,
that bass.
right.
There.
I got like contact high from cocaine and Molly from the people standing next to us. But I don't think I knew until just now that you are into country.
Yeah.
I mean, so you're a
I'm
wild
everywhere.
card. Yeah. So we already talked about what the girl. So best shows, Big Gigantic you liked, that Metallica or the Bonnaroo.
Yeah.
Then the Metallica where you're selling water. Any other big ones?
So I've seen Kenny Chesney 3 times.
No way.
Yeah.
With Angela?
No.
Okay.
Um,
And they've all been great.
that
I mean,
that guy
'cause-
puts on a show.
well,
Like they were not stadium; they were in an arena,
but it's a big crowd.
big crowd.
Right?
So I remember like there was a set break from the opener. So I'm going to take a leak, and all of a sudden I hear Back in Black. I'm like, what the fuck? So I'm trying to piss as fast, and here comes Kenny Chesney out of some other part of the arena, popping up, going Back in Black. He started his entire show with Back in Black.
A cover of it. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like,
Okay, Kenny Chesney.
I know, right? So it's every time I say like, oh, Kenny Chesney, he might have put on just show wise, probably one of the coolest shows.
Nice.
U2, I think.
Oh.
Yeah. So I was living in
Arrowhead?
Chicago.
Oh, okay.
At United Center.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
Iconic.
I got
Iconic
a free.
venue.
So I was working at a hotel in downtown Chicago. So this would have been prior to September 11th, and God, I forget the damn what tour it was, but free ticket.
Nice.
So that's always a plus. I mean, that's probably $200 ticket way
yeah,
back then,
right?
right? So, and just that was
Crushed it.
Crushed it. Yeah, like I'll never forget. Like Bono pulled this girl up that was wearing a cowboy hat on stage, and this girl just absolutely melted when she got up there. Right, like he grabbed her cowboy hat, put it on his head, and this girl's just like jelly. Just like, yeah. So it was.
You think she's ever told that story?
Fuck yeah, she's told that story. I want to know if like what she did. Yeah, it was insane. I've been to a lot of good shows.
Nice.
You know, I really don't like the fact that you don't get paper tickets anymore.
I know, dude. So I just was in Atlantic City seeing 3. And if I'm feeling like it, I'll at one point wander over to the merch table. But my buddy that I'm with, he always wants to get something, and I went over there, and of course, shirts and all this shit is back. But there's a table full of smaller things. Like I got a little magnet of Trey's guitar for the fridge, and a pair of socks. I was like, that's all the merch. But as I was about to walk away, I saw
the stub
for sale. And it's the ones you would get if you got a mail order, so they're each night's a different color and a different image and a cool font, but I mean that's if you want a paper stub, you got to pay for it, even though you've already bought your ticket.
Yeah.
Which is like, he was like, wow, that's sad, and I was like, it is, but it was funny because there were 2 entrances to get onto the beach. And one was called Missouri Avenue, and the other was called New York. None of the other ones you couldn't get all the way down. So we're not sure. We're just wandering. Like, oh, we should eventually make our way in there, and then we just wander down this path. It's like a walkway with rails and and then all of a sudden it just dumps you in the sand. But there was like, those like steel barriers.
Yeah.
Like you see, 50 of them in a row. There was a set of a big chain of those, and one was just moved, and it opened access to this walkway. And we're like, let's see what, and and we're on the beach in the show, and it's like, wait, what? It wasn't supposed to be open, and the next 2 nights we did have to scan in or whatever, but it's like,
it's an old version of the stub down, right?
Well, yeah, but it's like, dude, I mean, there was easily 40,000-50,000 people there each night. I mean, if word of that would have gotten out, like another 40 could have, a lot of people anyway. So we're like, how sad that you have to buy the stubs, but stubbing in we didn't even do it tonight.
Right, yeah.
My phone, because I'll add them to my wallet.
Yeah.
And so all through first set, I keep getting this alert.
Yeah.
Because it's the Ticketmaster thing popping up because it doesn't know that I've gone in.
I should have sold those.
Well, okay, so we got soccer just around the corner, so we need to get you out of here. But
we're good for a little. I mean, we're good. We got at least 40 minutes.
So I'm curious. Tomorrow, you wake up and you find yourself in possession with more money than anybody in your family could spend before they're all, I mean, your kids, just
Right.
You no longer have to worry about money. And, let's, for the sake of this scenario, say that both girls have graduated high school. So you're not tied to the life that you're living right now.
Right.
What are you going to do with yourself? How are you going to, what's Bill Mauch's source of joy that would send you here or keep you, in the place that you are now? What are you going to do with yourself?
Probably a few different things.
Okay.
I think. It wouldn't just be me, so it'd be
Right.
would be Angie. And Angie loves warm weather and a beach, so I'd have to get we'd have to be somewhere there.
Okay.
Multiple places. I mean, Kansas City's home to me. It always has been.
Right.
So there's always going to be some semblance of me here somehow, some way. I think I don't know if other folks will say this, but there's always that draw. There was always the draw for me to come back here.
Yeah.
It's just a cool city.
It is.
Just
it is.
It's changed way. I mean, it is insane how much it's changed from 1992 when my parents moved.
How so?
And took just the size and all the stuff that's available now.
Yeah. Has a little bit more. I mean, it's always had personality.
Yeah.
But it's a little bit more vibrant personality.
It is. It's not like, well, aw shucks, we're here.
Yeah.
This place is here now. I mean,
Yeah.
it's here.
Yeah.
It is a big city. It's a cool city. It's a great place to have kids and raise your family.
Yep.
Just good people.
Do you remember Jeff Kaiser?
Yeah.
So at one point when I was at Fort Lewis, Skyhawks represent, there was 10, myself included, Lancers, former Lancers.
Of course.
I mean, Fickle was there, Kaiser was there. The gal that was the assistant station manager for the radio station I did a show at, she graduated from the class that had that mistook the Mercedes sign for the peace sign.
Yeah. What year was that? Because I want to say that was my sister's grade, 85.
Yeah, somewhere in
so
there.
She was in my
they
sister's
probably know each
grade.
other.
Peace.
Right?
God, that was nightly news with Tom Brokaw or some bullshit like that. Just embarrassment.
Whoopsie.
Yeah. Rich kids in Kansas City.
But so I don't know if he still does this. I would suspect that he does. But he either worked his way into a situation or found himself in a situation. I don't know how it happened. But 6 months out of the year, he lives in Durango and fucking loves to snowboard.
Right.
And 6 months out of the year, he lives in Costa Rica and fucking surfs. And it's just he sort of packs up shop and, like I said, I don't know if he still does, but he did it for a while. And I always thought that was
That'd be pretty cool.
So I've been to Costa Rica twice, and both times I was like, this place is dope. I really like this place. And so I was like, man, kind of got it figured out. And I think that, as silly as it sounds, I think there's really something practical to having 3, 4, I don't know, homes, if you want to.
If you just figure it out, right?
Well, if you want to I don't know, be here for the spring or the fall or what, and you really don't like the heat and so you're not here for the summer. Maybe you're on the beach,
Right.
or maybe you got a place in California. Maybe it's in fucking Switzerland,
Yeah.
but Anyway, so you think you'd be a multiple?
I think so. I mean, we're lucky enough right now that my dad lives in Eagle, Colorado,
Right.
which is up in the mountains,
Yeah.
right? So it's about, what, 30 miles west of Vail. So that's pretty awesome to be able to go and do that. Unfortunately, with the way schedules have been, it's really hard for us right now. But
when you do it, when you can make it, or you have made it work in the past, are you fly into Denver and get a car, or
we drive?
You drive all the way out.
Drive all the way out.
With all four of you?
Yeah, 6 with the dogs.
Right, and everybody, everybody's chill.
Yeah,
okay.
Everybody's comfortably numb.
Right.
There you go. How about that?
Oh man.
Well, it's just like, I'm really the only one that has to pay any attention because I'm the one doing the drive, and everybody else is on their device and sleeping or whatever else. So it's pretty awesome to be able to do that.
Yeah. And is there always room at his place, or?
Yeah, there's always. I mean, I think he's got like 5 bedrooms.
Nice.
So, and it's one old man.
Has there ever been a situation where all 3 siblings?
There's a lot of times. Yeah,
okay.
We're kind of relegated to the bunk room, which kind of sucks.
The what room?
The bunk room. So he's got his main bedroom, and then there's a upstairs, and then there's another bedroom that has like a queen bed that usually my younger sister occupies with her husband, and then next to that there's what they call the bunk room. So there's like a twin bed, and then there's 2, I think it's doubles or queens bunk beds. So they call that the bunk room. It's hot as fuck in that mother.
So wait, that's
usually where we go, like with all 4 of us. So you got all 4 of us in there, and it's just like, so sometimes it sucks, but suck is a relative term when you're up there, right? And then there's a computer type room that my dad does like all his fake computer watching, that he sits down.
Fake computer watching?
Well, he doesn't know how to do shit on the computer. He can get on YouTube and listen to some Swiss yodeling shit. That's what he does. But so there's a room there where his computer is that has a bed, and then down in the basement there is another room with a queen size bed, or with a king bed. Usually where my older sister takes. So
what about projects or things that you would like to learn or accomplish? I mean, would you? So if you've got a place here and a place there, and you got some beach, you got access to some snow and that sort of play.
Yeah.
But I mean, are you a guy that would like build a shed? Or
I'd like to build, yeah, for sure. Like, so garden. I've learned a lot, like the industry, like, so before I work where I do now, I sold building materials. So, window siding, doors, insulation, all that fun stuff. So there was always some level of learning something new, and there still is today with different things.
Yeah.
So I like to do that. I just don't sometimes have the patience to do it. So that's the downfall. Like, we were talking about your room here. I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool. So it's a lot of work.
Yeah. And I mean, I could, they didn't, I mean, there's a lot of outlets, like a lot of stuff they didn't really have to get into too deep into any specialty. It's all like a base.
Right.
I could have like taught myself and done. I probably would have fucked up some shit. I'm guaranteed I would have but it might have taken me 18 months to get the thing torn down and then build it up. And it's like, that's not worth it to me. Like, I don't need to go tomorrow, but at some point I'd like to be past the thinking of getting the space ready.
Right.
And
just be able to do it. Right?
I mean, this ended up being, it was a door, stuck behind my furnace, and it was framed.
Yeah. I remember you, sending a picture of this.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. And Wilkie was a huge help. My next door neighbor who has a design and build, he kind of, gave me a couple pointers. But anyway, so you envision yourself building, doing handy kinds of stuff.
I don't know. I tinker around with stuff like that. Like, so I redecked my deck.
Oh, wow.
I've done stuff like that. I could hang a door if I want to, but sometimes I don't want to because it's tedious sometimes.
Yeah.
Things like that. Like Angie will tell you, like when she first met me, like her entire family, they're like both of her uncles are really handy guys, and her dad's really handy. Well, her dad's a machinist by trade, so he's he gets all. My brain does not work that way.
Yeah.
There's a specific. It's an art, like to be able to do. I mean, your brain needs to work that way. Mine doesn't. It takes me a lot longer to try to figure it out and come to that. Like where there's a lot of people that can just look at it and do it, right? But like so stuff like that. Like I enjoy doing that. It's kind of like I enjoy cutting my own grass.
Yeah.
You know, people want to hire out a yard service or whatever else, but to me it's therapeutic. I put music in. Oh, here you go. You asked me another thing, like Pitbull. I enjoy his damn channel.
Okay.
On Sirius.
There you go.
I like it. I think it just that music is upbeat.
Yeah,
and some stuff like
for
that
sure.
on that show, and I can't understand any of it, but
right.
I just like I like to listen to it. And
yeah.
that's one thing that my kids always tease me about, and some of you guys too, is like there's probably 90% of the songs that I hear I don't know the words.
Yeah.
I just like the beat.
Yep.
I don't care what it is.
Right.
If it's got a cool beat,
Yeah.
I'm in.
Yeah, man, sometimes that's all it takes.
You know?
Yeah,
But getting back on that thing real fast.
Yeah.
Like, so if that were something that happened, like you had that almost $1 billion lottery, you know, that'd be, I don't know what it'd be crazy, but I'd make sure that all my good friends were taken care of.
Sweet.
I think it's important.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I mean,
can't take it with you.
no,
I
I
mean-
mean, to just make it, I think it'd be, you know, you have to do that. Like, just make sure your family's taken care of and your good buddies are taken care of.
Yeah.
I think.
Well, you know, it's fascinating to me to think about, take any one person from our group, or I mean, a stranger for that matter, that's like a decent person and, you know, not fucking shit up out there in the world. But when you see somebody like attempt to do something like, I don't know, maybe you decide that you want to completely eliminate everything from the back of your house to the edge of your property and start from scratch. But it's like gonna involve an addition and a new deck and a hot tub and just all these other things it's like a big scale project. Like there's something rewarding about watching a person like accomplish that, or, you know, even if it's like, man, I did A and B and then I hurt myself or I ran out of time or whatever, and so then I hired out the rest. But it's still,
I mean, that's crazy right now. Like, I can't believe that, like, we can hurt ourselves just like looking at ourselves. I know, fucked up.
I've had my right butt cheek has been sore for like 2 years. I'm not even kidding. Like,
is it from hockey?
I don't think so. I think it's probably, I'm fairly certain it's like sciatic stuff.
Yeah.
Now, I see a chiropractor pretty regularly, which like helps a lot.
Sure.
And sometimes I'll get in a pinch where like, oh fuck, I have to go see the chiropractor right now.
Right now, yeah.
Not often, but it's usually if I do something foolish or I don't think it through. But
isn't it sad that like now you have to think shit through before you you could just go run down
Yeah.
the street to go you're like, well, is this really, and then you just say fuck it.
Well, so I wound up I fucked up my back bad when I was still taking the dogs. Or the dogs would come upstairs at night, and he's kind of been, you know, across the 2 years since his amputation, pretty good both ways. But you know, he hit a point where it was just like, oh, going up is too much, and going down he can manage, but he's very, very anxious about it.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, a handful of months ago I was like, you know what, nobody's going up anymore, because, you know, if she has an accident up there, then I'm like up and down trying to get piss soaked shit into the and so anyways, but one of the last nights he made it about 2/3 of the way up, and he's just got his front claws dug into the carpet and his back, his one rear leg, and so I was right behind him, because I would usually walk up behind just to because sometimes they'll slip.
Yeah.
And he was so close that I just bent over. I didn't bend my knees really. I did a little bit, and I scooped him up, and I was like, oh man, that was That wasn't
That's
good.
gonna leave a mark.
Well, and so I went up the following 3 steps and set him down, and immediately I was like, oh my God, everything hurts. So I was really grateful that I had changed into my pajamas and brushed my teeth, because I needed badly to just get right in bed, which also was tough.
I bet.
Anyway,
Did you medicate yourself?
I mean, I'm always some flavor of medicated,
Okay.
but no, I'm just kidding. So ever since then, I just if I a long drive is
Yeah.
a little tough, but I've since then I've occasionally used Epsom salts to do a soak.
Sure.
I've got a foam roller that I'll get on the floor with. I've got this. You can see them like on your way to check out at Dick's. There's usually like a bin full of red Chiefs balls. They're like, I got one of those that I'll like, roll up and down. And I was doing the dishes one night. I've seen the chiropractor. I ended up missing a month of hockey. It was that bad. And it was like something.
So were you on the IL or the DL? What do you, I mean,
I don't know. IR, injured reserve.
Yeah. Well, baseball.
What was so fucked up is that it happened 2 weeks before our annual Moms and Pops basketball tournament. So at St. Peter's every year, it's one of the biggest events. Like you play on a team that represents your oldest kid. So like last year I was on.
How many Achilles tendons got popped?
Well, there's tons of injuries.
Yeah.
Knees.
Yeah. That's one of those that you think about and you're like, I'm out.
No, I do it I love it because I don't really get to hoop any other time.
Great.
Besides the driveway. But anyway, so I missed 2 weeks, and the worst part about it was driving.
Yeah.
Because I would have to just piecemeal my way into the car and out of the car, and then every tiny little I would just shoot like right up my spine. Anyway, so I missed 2 weeks of hockey, and that it's 4 games in a week, and it used to be 3, now it's 4, which that 4th game comes set. Fuck. Anyway, so I'm like, I wonder if I can play, and I went outside and I ran up and down the driveway dribbling, took a couple shots, and I was like, that's crazy. Like I feel fine. But if I were to like sit and try to put on a pair of ice skates or lace them up, not a chance. So I went and played, and so anyway, I could play basketball, but I couldn't play hockey. But I get behind this or past this injury, and now I'm just okay. Like stretching and doing all these kinds of things needs to be daily-ish. Kind of, let's not do it reactive.
Old,
let's do it anyway. So while that was happening, I was discovering that putting plates and silverware into the dishwasher was like one of my biggest sources of pain, just because of the angling of it all. So I started doing this thing where I could reach the bottom rack and slide it in, but going just
That's
going just that little bit further to get the door to close it was too far. So I developed this thing where I could slide the rack in, and then I would take my foot and sort of kick the door, kind of like Robert Randolph, kick the door up to my hand and then shut it. And I did that like 2 or 3 days in a row, and like pulled something. I was like, I had a shortcut to avoid pain, and I injured myself via the shortcut.
Right.
Welcome to almost 50 or whatever the fuck,
Right. Jesus.
But anyway, any other businesses you would want to start, creative things you would want to take on if you had nothing pulling you? You know what I mean?
I don't know. So one of the things I really like to do is like usually Angie captains a team for Christmas in October at the University of Kansas Health System. So basically it's they take people in need and go fix up somebody's house or whatever else. So I enjoy doing that. I like it.
Like Habitat for Humanity.
It's like that.
I fucking love that shit, man.
Yeah. So I enjoy doing that. We've done it ever since she's worked at KU for the last 6 years.
That's cool.
Unfortunately, I think this year maybe we won't be able to do it. Well, she won't be able to captain a team. We'll still take part, but she's going to a conference, so she won't be able to be the captain of the team and set everything up. But I really like doing that type of stuff.
Yeah, man. One of my favorite lanes on TikTok is. I'm assuming there are other people. One guy in particular, and I've seen a couple others that are similar, but he'll act like he's in a pinch out on the street and be like, "Hey, man, can you spare $1?" Or I really hurt myself, and it's like the first person, because you're definitely going to get people that are like, "Sucks to be you," and keep moving, or but the first person that helps, he's got like $500 or $1,000, and it's almost always somebody that's pretty clearly poor, which is wild. Like the people that have the least are the quickest to offer help. So when they offer help and he's like, I was bullshitting about all that, here's $1,000, and they're just like, you have no idea what you've just done for me.
So that's funny because like there's a lot of times, I guess it's not funny, but there's a lot of times you see people with signage and whatever else, and there's a lot of times that I'm not doing anything, but there was one that was down by the city market, and a guy that was holding a sign that just said "smile," and you could tell the guy was he was having a rough time, right? So I gave him money, and my girls are like, "What are you doing? You never do that." And I'm like, "Well, he's not asking for anything, you can tell that he's in need of something," and so. I thought it was the first time I've ever seen a sign. I mean, I've been all over this world.
Yeah.
And I've seen a lot of crazy stuff and a lot of peddlers and whatever else. But that was the first time I've just seen a sign that said "smile."
I like it.
Yeah.
Well, cool, man. You got soccer on the horizon. I was going to say, I would love to outsource my mowing. I did once for a summer, and it was like every fucking time it was like $40.
Yeah, fuck that.
Just like, and also at the end of the day, the person who's going to cut and weed eat and do exactly the way I want it doesn't exist.
No.
So I'm always like, I would have done that a little, but, and to that end, there's nothing quite like the, post-mow shower, and you step outside with a cold one to admire your handiwork.
I really like the post-mow hammer of a beer.
Hammer,
just like let it rip.
Okay.
Just like we shifted gears.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Done.
That's awesome.
I believe Brooks and Dunn has a song that has something to that effect, like talking about beer drinking and one too many or something like that, and they shift fast, but. I really like that. Like when you're done, it's hot as balls, and you just take that beer and you slam it.
Yeah.
It's good.
I don't necessarily slam, but that first one does go down pretty quick. And then all of a sudden it's like, am I on my sixth drink? Like, I should go
I've been
inside.
admiring the shit out of this yard.
Oh, man. Thanks so much for coming and
this
doing
has been
this.
awesome.
I appreciate it.
Appreciate you having me.
Yeah. Maybe you can talk one or two of the knuckleheads in our thread to.
Who else needs to do? We need to get Roberts up in here. I want to be in here when Roberts does.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. Can you get another mic?
Right. Yeah.
We might have to do that all day.
I mean,
that guy's got a lot of shit. Right?
He does. I mean, he
is an amazing cook. Like,
right.
I mean, it's insane.
Without question.
I mean, I see all these things. I mean, you guys give me crap because I have zero social media. I had Google Plus, and then they shut that fire down. That was really the only thing, other than a LinkedIn thing, that I don't participate in. Really.
Well, I'm not really sure what's happening over there.
Yeah.
I try everyone. I'm like, I should be more. I should participate. And then it's like
it's jumping the shark.
Yeah.
Really. Like, it's not what it was.
Well,
when it started, which is none of the stuff. But he is insane with all the stuff. I mean, I would be Paul Prudhomme. You'd have to have two of those carts wheeling me around. I don't know.
Right.
He's
getting a workout in somewhere. It
has to be.
You would think.
Well, he'll say that he's swimming.
Right.
Somewhere.
Right.
Somehow. Some way. Right.
He's so he was it last Friday?
Again, he gets brought up toward the end of the show. Right.
Right. Yeah. Was it last Friday that we were hanging out? I wound up sitting next to him or near him for a good chunk of the evening, and he's so insanely full of information. Like, kind of a
Savant
gamut, you know,
style,
like it's
like,
food,
yeah.
it's movies, it's music, it's sports, and I'm just like, where are you keeping all this shit? I have room for like 9 things,
Right.
And if I learn a new
And to
thing,
top it off, he's got 2 little guys,
yeah,
right?
I
So
know.
like with all
little,
yeah.
like the oldest just started kindergarten, maybe,
Yeah, like
or first grade.
I'd be like, that'd be information. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's crazy.
Seriously, I have to fucking like forget something to make room to learn something new, and
I know.
he's just rolling around with a fucking Brinks truck full of information and tidbits, and
Right.
he seems to have a pretty fucking sharp memory too.
He does. Like he's like an elephant. He doesn't forget shit.
Yeah.
Well, he says the same about you though. So like,
Really?
Oh yeah, you know, like some of the times, whatever. Well, he'll bring this one back up or something, you know, because it's like he loves to dig.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
and it's just like,
Yeah.
And once the knife goes in, it's gonna keep on.
Yep.
Just like you were saying earlier, he'll
Yeah.
just keep going, which is great.
Yeah.
He might drive it in and just leave it for a couple months. And
Yeah.
then boom, boom.
He's
He's real
like,
quick, and then he's out.
You know that backdraft,
Yeah.
the whole "you're doing it wrong"
Yeah.
thing. He can like see somebody trying to poke the bear and be like, "You're doing it wrong."
Yeah.
let me show you.
Like this whole shit with Meet Mitch, like it's awesome.
What do you mean?
Well, just like, whatever. That's for another day.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I got the impression that you're not a fan.
Not a fan.
And
Yeah.
he is?
And he's not either.
Oh, okay,
Yeah, but,
okay.
one of our other friends is a big fan.
Oh,
and so then, you know, it's part of the
interesting.
bear poking that
There we
happens.
go.
You know?
There it is.
And it's really good because it's like softball after softball, and then he just fires them off to me and then hit some of that and just go. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Family first.
the thread to about coming over, and I said I'd have some barbecue and some cold ones, and he just immediately,
Yes.
which was because
Well, he thinks that you like Meet Mitch because you used to work for those guys.
oh no, they invited me to a soft opening, but I couldn't make it.
Yeah.
And I haven't been. So I like the guys that own it.
Yeah.
But I said something to the effect one time. So he got this, it's a grill, or maybe it's what he calls the kettle. I don't know, but it's like got grates on half of it, and the other half is
Yeah.
solid. So you can
Sear shit on
grill
it.
and then
Yeah.
sear, but also he'll do like a hot plate thing, where he'll have a bed of coals underneath a grate, and then he'll put like a cast iron thing.
Yeah.
And then and I said something to the effect of, I don't understand, like, how is this different from, like, I have a cast iron griddle across 2 burners.
Yeah.
And it just always sits there. I cook almost everything on it. I cook a lot of things on it. And I was like, what's the difference? And he's like, well, over the coals, you're getting the smoke. I'm like, but is it really that noticeable? Is it really make that?
Thus why you don't like smoke.
Well, so
Yes.
which is never. It's not a thing I've ever said or believed. I may have questioned, because in this day and age where there's so much legit professional barbecue, and then so many people doing barbecue just privately, and then platforms like TikTok and whatever, when a lot of people doing cooking shit, and
So I suppose I should really take the plunge and get on these things because
they're all time sucks.
Yeah.
So if you have an abundance of free time you don't know what to do with, sure. Otherwise, steer clear.
Okay.
But so I said something, like, is it really all that? Because anytime somebody, whether it's the professional, the private guy, the guy on social media, or gal, saying, listing the steps and the ingredients, they've always got to say, get a little smoke on there, always. And so I said something like, is it always palatable? Is it always necessary? And so now it's like, I'm going to get some barbecue. Is your barbecue going to have smoke? It's like,
you should just, you know what?
first
for
of all,
Christmas,
I'm not going to make it.
For Christmas, you need to buy him like a big jug of liquid smoke.
Right. Well, we've talked about that too. But it's like, I'm not
Right.
to put out the teeny amount of food. I would have had to start Monday. I'm going to go beep, boop, boop, and have somebody deliver it in a
Right.
car.
Yeah, right.
Anyway, but seriously, thank you.
Hey, it's been awesome. Man. Thank you. Thanks for for asking me to do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hopefully this has been good.
It's been fantastic.
Okay.
I mean, we got to get you out of here. So
It's just kind of it's crazy.
all right, man. Talk to you later.
Cool.